3 years ago, it was a rare and deadly disease found mostly in Africa until it came to our shores, setting off nationwide concern. It was front page news and the lead of evening newscasts. Rosemary Buckley asked us on Facebook, whatever happened to Ebola? She was curious to know how the healthcare workers who became sick are doing today. Well, Rosemary, correspondent Casey Stiegel looked into it and brings us some answers in tonight's Whatever Happened To segment.
In the autumn of 2014, a silent killer was raging through parts of West Africa, a microscopic virus which ultimately claimed more than 11,000 lives.
The Ebola epidemic started in West Africa, and it wasn't recognized soon enough.
The impoverished country of Liberia was ground zero, and also where Thomas Eric Duncan was born. In September of that year, he moved, joining his fiancée and son more than 1,700 miles away in Dallas, Texas.
Fox's alert now, Ebola is being transmitted inside the United States.
But instead of starting his new life, Duncan died at Presbyterian Hospital. The 45-year-old unknowingly caught Ebola before leaving Africa and was not yet symptomatic when he traveled.
We just tried to stay calm and treat other people the way we would want to be treated.
Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins checked in on the victim's family and helped move them to private quarantine.
And our job in public health is to keep people alive.
Inside Presbyterian Hospital, two nurses who had cared for patient zero fell ill. Nina Pham and Amber Vinson would soon become household names.
No healthcare worker should get an infection on the job.
5 days after Thomas Eric Duncan succumbed to Ebola, now Pham and Vincent had it too.
In hindsight, we should not have allowed Amber Vincent to fly.
In what would become one of the larger embarrassments for the CDC, agency officials actually cleared Amber Vincent for commercial air travel despite having a low fever. So she flew to Ohio to finish planning her wedding. Frontier Airlines then had to pull the aircraft out of service and notify passengers who had been on board.
It, I think, alerted the medical and scientific community to be prepared to respond to these types of things.
Dr. Jeffrey Kahn heads up the infectious disease departments at two major Dallas hospitals. He says lots of lessons were learned from 2014. Workers are now better trained on the proper use of gowns, masks, and gloves, not to mention major advancements with vaccines and diagnostic testing.
That technology is really, really tremendous, and that's getting better and better.
It's how both nurses ultimately beat it. Vincent got her dream wedding while Pham was reunited with her dog. This while legal proceedings played out against the hospital. The company who owns Presbyterian didn't want to comment, instead referring us to a 2016 statement, which reads in part, Texas Health Resources and Miss Pham have resolved the pending lawsuit and wish the best for each other going forward. Thomas Duncan's fiancée, Louise Troe, wrote a book about her whole ordeal and remains active in her church. His son is a basketball player and attends college still here in Texas. Brett?
Casey, thank you. If you have a story you'd like to see an update on, or you've been talking to your family and recently said, whatever happened to fill in the blank? Let me know on Twitter at Brett Baer. Use the hashtag whatever happened to, or on Facebook at facebook.com/BrettBaerSR.